Welcome back to my channel. It's Friday, October 11, 2024. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Mykelti Hadron, formerly Mykelti Brown, was on her Patreon, and she was reacting to her dad and Robin's conversation that was filmed back in 2022. This is the first time she had heard this conversation. She did not see the episode ahead of time, and she was very upset after watching what he had to say about his kids and how he was lumping all the kids together. And it appears that Mykelti's once cordial relationship with Kody has completely frosted over. Now, I told you that there was like this rift happening right now. They had pulled their support from Robin, and they're more sympathetic to Robin in this specific situation, obviously, than Kody. But what's made clear is that this relationship that Mykelti has with her dad has been bad for years, that Robin has really been the only person that's been in between them. Like, she's been unable to really have a relationship with her dad, and she basically said that she hasn't been able to have a conversation with her dad, one-on-one, and have a conversation that's meaningful and discussing her feelings for several years, because she generally ends up upset. Now, something I want to point out here is that she was pretty upset about the fact that he was talking about all of his kids, because at the time of this filming, back in 2022, his daughter, Savannah, would have only just turned 18. Isabel would have just been 19, Gwendolyn only 20, and Truly 11. And so 4 young girls and 2 barely adult girls, adult women that were being lumped into all the kids, which she found pretty awful, and she seemed to be most upset about Truly. So if you're wondering if things have gotten better with Mykelti and Kody, the answer would be no. And it seems like everything that's happening now on the show is making everything worse. So let's talk about it. Yeah, but blanket statementing like this makes people close that door indefinitely. And puts these things out here on the show. I guess they're documenting their life, and they're documenting history and their story and their relationships and stuff. But when you put things out there on the show like this, there's no taking it back. You know, when you put something on the internet, there's no taking it back. So it's almost like if the show wasn't here and he still had these relationships with his kids, there is a feasible chance that he can repair things. But when he puts things on the show like this, you're screwed. Maddie has seen this episode now. Maddie's pissed you have that store is slammed locked, and it will be shut forever unless he makes a statement on the show condemning what he said. You know, like, that's the only way to get like anywhere on here is to take accountability. On the show, Mykelti walks this very weird line when it comes to the family, and I hear what she is saying, because she's saying that when the kids hear things that Kody says about them on the show, they get hurt, right? And then they impacts their relationships with their dad, right? So Kody makes statements where he tells all of the kids something, where he says, all of my kids are colluding against me, or all of my kids are doing this, or all of my kids, you know, and it brings all of the kids in one conversation, even if it's not all of the kids. He's speaking about all of the kids, and so that makes the kids feel bad. And so she's saying, well, you know, he's put this out there, and the only way to correct this is to condemn that behavior on the show. I mean, frankly, once it's out there, it's going to be in sound loops, it's going to be in playbacks, it's going to be in tell-alls. There's no really even a condemnation of that statement by him, and what he says about his kids doesn't take back those sound loops, because those sound loops are always out there. Like, think about when he said that all of my kids are jerks, and I'm tired of it, and I don't want to talk to them, right? All of them are just kind of jerks. I mean, he's talking about his daughter Truly, because he's saying all of them. Imagine you're an 11-year-old and your dad is saying all of you are jerks. That would make you feel bad. You don't have the capacity to even understand what your dad is talking about. But the reason why I say that Mykelti walks a really weird line is because she knows that these statements by her dad cause her siblings pain. And yet, she has been in every single episode this season, and she hasn't been paid. She made a joke about how she should get paid more, and CO and Tony said, like, what money? What pay? They're not getting paid for their time on the show. And so it's like, why then are you participating in this? If you know that it's causing pain to your family, why be on a show that you know your siblings are being hurt by? Like, it's the cognitive dissonance her siblings, and yet she participates in it. And then somebody asked her if her siblings get upset about her participating in the show, and she said, no, most of them don't really care. Some of them don't, maybe agree, but it doesn't really matter. But you have to think about it. There's very few siblings that completely boycott the show. I mean, the only person that we don't see on the show anymore is Logan and Leon. Otherwise, you'll see Hunter periodically, although not a lot. You barely see Maddie. She's shown up a couple times, and I guess she's going to come up more this season because Janelle is moving in with her. See, Gabriel, we haven't seen Savannah this season. We've barely seen Isabel. We've only seen a clip of Gwendolyn in passing. Peyton showed up for a very brief second, but the kids really aren't on the show. So I don't know what Mykelti is actually making a point of being on the show by having storylines about her, right? Like the other kids aren't bringing storylines in about themselves. She is. So that's, I think, maybe why some people are not receptive to what she's saying. But I agree with what she is saying, that her dad shouldn't be putting this out on the show. But I think if you're upset about it, then you also need to take a stand for yourself and not be on a show that hurts your siblings and hurts you. It's like, I feel like they're all stuck in this unhealthy dynamic, like it's hurting the family, and yet they keep going because they're afraid of going back to poverty and not having what they had before the show. Yeah. And so this was the fall. This was Thanksgiving, 2022 or winter, winter. Think, well, yeah, summer. It was, yeah, summer, winter. 2022 area, so Isabel is 18. Savannah is 17. No, she's 16. Truly is what, 11? He's got 3 kids that don't even have their frontal lobe developed. And, I mean, Gwendolyn's barely like she thinks she's probably 20, so her frontal lobe is also not developed. No, she's 21, not in this scene. Oh no, not in this, yeah, so, I mean, you've got all these kids that aren't even fully like they're not adults. They are kids, and he's blanket statementing all of them on kids, like he's basically saying that Truly hates him when he says this. That's what he's saying. But I don't think he realizes what he's saying either. Yes, children have a collateral damage, but in divorce, in polygamy, and just a lot of things. Because especially like, well said Elizabeth, yeah, in polygamy, especially when she's talking about the frontal lobe, I keep thinking about Robin and her whole thing back in the day, about the group where they were going to have the kids in a youth group for a church that wasn't their church, and she was worried about their frontal lobe not being developed. So she's really hooked on the frontal lobe. But yeah, I mean, it's true, the frontal lobe isn't developed, which is their executive decision-making. I don't necessarily know if that's relevant. They're kids. All she has to do is say they're kids. She doesn't have enough to say that their frontal lobe isn't developed, right? And I don't think there's a lot of parents that discontinue being parents once a kid turns 18. I think society as a whole recognizes that young adults still need parenting, right? I know I needed parenting when I was a young adult, and you don't ever really stop needing your parents. You become a parent yourself, and you still, at times, want to have someone that you can go to for advice. Parenting doesn't stop because your children are adults, but Kody seems to think that that's the case. But I wonder how this will impact the custody case. I mean, if Kody is on camera completely neglecting his responsibilities as a father and not putting in an effort to see his child, and it's documented, I mean, reality television is edited, and I'm sure Kody could argue that he's an actor, and this is all scripted in court. Wouldn't that be hilarious if that's what he did? But that can't bode well, because he's making such awful statements about his children, which I guess part of me does wonder if Christine filing this is about money, but also about holding him accountable to his behavior, about how he talks about his kids. You know what? I mean, like Christine is a part of the problem because she's still on the show, and all of them are, let's be honest, it's hurting the whole family, and they're all a part of the machine because they don't have any other financial options that they think are good enough for them being able to make it the money that they're accustomed to making. Are still hoping that they'll get their own show. They are. They even said so last night in an interview with Access Hollywood. They were on a red carpet for an event for like reality TV stars for some sort of streaming platform. Regardless, all the kids are being hurt by what Kody says, and she's making clear that it hurts her siblings. I do like that. She's sticking up for her sisters, though. If it's just my dad and I have the conversation, pissed, heartbroken, annoyed, and I call up Tony, and I'm like, look, I don't know what to do. But this happened and I don't know what to do. But if I have that kind of conversation around Robin and Tony, Tony's my safe space. Robin is dad's safe space. So it makes it a lot easier to have open, honest communication, but not feel like it's one-sided. So it's been a couple of years since we've had some deep dive conversations. We're pretty much surface level right now because it's hard to have. You know that one-on-one deep dive conversation, it is very clear that Mykelti's relationship with her dad has completely unraveled. I mean, she can't even have a conversation with him without having mediators in there. It's like, here's the problem with Robin. I want to be clear. She's an enabler. She is enabling Kody's horrible behavior. She needs to be in the middle of conversations mediating Kody because he is so abusive, and so family members view that as meddling. And it is because Kody should be able to have conversations with children without a third party present. He should be able to act like an adult, and Mykelti says it's not even safe for me to have a conversation with him, because all he does is yell at me. I mean, even when Kody and Robin were talking, all Kody did was scream and yell and talk over her and not even let her get a word in. Edgewise narcissists never let you win, ever. And narcissists can only exist with enablers. They don't exist in healthy relationships with anyone, and the enablers are the ones that enable them to act terribly because they pacify and excuse their behavior. And so if Robin's always going to be in the middle of his relationships, she enables it. Kody needs to be able to have the consequences of his behavior, and Robin's not allowing him to have the consequences of his behavior because she's enabling the bad behavior. It's sad. So I feel bad for Mykelti because she was riding so hard for her dad for such a long time and wanted to see the best in him and wanted to believe that, what everyone else was seeing was false. But it's obvious that it's gotten to a point where she can't even have a conversation with him. And that's, the best thing that she's done so far is move. And I honestly think that she moved because she was in the middle of everything because of the custody issues between Kody and Christine. It is a bit concerning that he was that hot-headed after he went for a drive to cool off. What was the talk like before the drive? Yeah, but also we're in the house and he's only talking about saving his relationship with Robin. He's not even talking about the kids he has with Robin. You're the person I love most in the world. I don't think that there's something specifically wrong. But he doesn't even acknowledge the kids that he has with Robin in that episode. And I mean, it started out with such a happy note with the babies, and ended up on this keeping pile of depression. I think, though, with Robin going back and blaming the moms, I think also goes back to, Robin doesn't talk with those 3 wives, and Robin isn't peering in on every conversation that dad has with them. So as much as Robin knows is either what she's experienced or what dad's told her. So it also goes back to dad only relaying the bad and the hard parts, and him not talking about the full picture. It's also like she can only understand what he tells her. And he's also telling her that the reason my relationships are so messed up with them is because their moms talk bad about me because I don't love them. So I think that's part of it. I mean, obviously there's things that we don't see and stuff, but either way it's everybody just needs therapy. Guys, it is interesting. She did make a good point about how Kody, when he said to Robin that he needed to get his relationships with her in a better place, that he felt like he was losing her. They needed to work on their marriage, and he didn't talk about her kids. Kody doesn't view his children as actual people. They're just an extension of himself. He doesn't care about them. They're objects. They're disposable. He's got 1 million of them. He can discard them. He doesn't. He just wants to pretend like half of them don't exist anymore. He wants to pretend like every child he didn't have with Robin doesn't exist. But she makes a good point about the fact that he doesn't even mention Robin's kids. It's just Robin. He is so hyper-focused on Robin to very obsessive levels. It's almost kind of scary, I don't like Robin. I think she's a huge part of the problem. She definitely enables him. She's highly manipulative, but his obsession with her is disturbing, because if that goes sour, I feel like he's the kind of guy that would do, family annihilation, you know what I mean? He's that scary to me. And then something I saw her light bulbs kind of turning. And people give her a lot of flack because she sees the good in Robin, and Robin was there to fill something in her life. It's going to take her a long time to figure out what's going on in her life. And I say this from experience, but she said that Robin is being missiled by her dad, basically because Robin is believing what her dad says, because Robin wants to believe that Kody's not a liar and that Kody's not this bad guy, because she's probably decided that this was the good husband that the good man that she told everyone that she married, because her last husband, wasn't the good man, and Kody was the good man, the sign of her success. And she doesn't want to believe that Kody's a bad guy, even though it's obvious to everyone in the world, and he's not even a good guy to her. He's not. He's abusive to everyone in his life, including Robin, including her kids. Doesn't mean I like Robin, it's just a fact. Two things can be true at the same time, but there's that aha moment where she's like, he's telling her this, and she's believing this, and it's not true. Recognizing that she doesn't like that, Robin is blaming the other women, because Kody's lying, and then she says, we all need therapy. And I think that's true, and I want to say why this is just my own personal experience, because I'm not a therapist, but I have a parent that is a narcissist, and I know what it's like to spend your whole life trying to feel like you have to be perfect to win that narcissist's love, and that no matter what you do, you're never going to be enough. It's never going to be enough for them. They're never going to be satisfied enough, and there's always heartbreak and disappointment, because you almost feel like it's this endless cycle of trying to make them happy, trying to avoid the conflict, trying to avoid the outbursts and the smear campaign, and everything that narcissists do, and the gaslighting, and the all of it, that you never want to believe that there's not a possibility that they can't change, right? And then you go to therapy, and I did, and you learn that there's dynamics in families that are sometimes so unhealthy that no amount of trying to change and be better and do better and be better will ever satisfy that person, because that person will never change and never take accountability.